The Browns, they finish at 7-10, a disappointing loss to the Steelers to wrap up the 2022-23 season. Andrew Berry, Browns general manager, Kevin Stefanski, Browns head coach, talking with the media just a little bit ago about the season that was, and without question, a disappointment.
It's obviously a disappointing place to be. We didn't get it done this year. We were just too inconsistent, throughout the season, and there are plenty of areas to work on and improve as we get into the upcoming months. We're going to spend the next couple weeks, really assessing everything, roster, football operations wise from A to Z, and then, really with the goal of getting us to, obviously where we're playing meaningful football at this point in the year. That being said, a lot of good people in place, players, coaches, staff, and we're looking forward and energized by the challenge of making the necessary changes and modifications, so that we're playing good football at this point in the year.
And the finality of the season being over is obviously disappointing, but I'm in no way discouraged for the future of this football team. I'm excited about the core of guys that are returning, and then we're just determined to put in the work. We're determined to put in the work this offseason to shape this team and make sure that we really are just playing good football come next September. And there's a bunch of things that we need to look at. We're going to take our time, as you can imagine, as we pull this apart and look at every area that we can improve. I know you guys saw the news. I let Joe Woods go last night. Not an easy decision. I have a ton of respect for Joe, the person, Joe, the coach. He's a great man. He works extremely hard. He treats people the right way. I just felt like it was in the best interest of our football team to go in that direction. But he will land on his feet because he's a good football coach.
And with that, let's welcome in Jeff Lloyd from the Lockdown Browns podcast. And Jeff, I think it was just a mismatch here. I don't question that Joe Woods is a good football coach. It just wasn't working here.
In 2020, Joe Woods was coaching a defense that didn't have much talent. He was able to have basically a bend but don't break style. If you remember that year, there was the Cowboys game. The Browns got up big, but it became a close game down towards the end. The playoff game even, obviously, the Browns got out big that day. It became, almost, nail-biter again down towards the end. 2021 with better talent. It started slow, but the Browns, wherever you go by, whoever you recognize or whatever analytic you want to use, the Browns were a top 10 defense. This year, you can give 4 instances. You can give week 2 against the Jets where it all fell apart. You can go to the Falcon game where there were running backs for the Atlanta Falcons who weren't even good enough to be on a Cleveland Browns roster, torching them. There was the second Bengal game, and if you remember, defensive back coach came out Friday after the game and said, well, when Higgins and Boyd went out of the game, it kind of made things a little harder for us. You knew things weren't going right then. And then with the Saints game on Christmas Eve, as bad as the weather was going to be, we all basically had the thought process of just do not let Taysom Hill beat you. They could not contain Taysom Hill. Those are 4 instances right off the bat where you knew that this was coming here today.